Have you ever wondered what really keeps someone alive for more than a century? With clarity, energy, and purpose. We're not just talking about genetic luck, nor secret formulas, but something more subtle and deeply transformative. Imagine living to 105 like Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara. And not just existing, but truly living. With real vitality, with functional longevity, with a body that keeps up with the mind, and a mind that doesn't forget the heart. Maybe the answer lies in daily habits so simple, many ignore them. But when practiced with intention, they become a healthy lifestyle. A quiet philosophy that extends full health. Without relying on medicine or miraculous promises. Imagine waking up every day with lightness in your body and clarity in your gaze, feeling that every gesture has purpose, that life, even as time passes, still holds deep meaning. If this image sparks something in you, like this video now, and share it with someone you love. Someone who deserves not just more time, but better time. Don't stop contributing. Life has value as long as there's purpose. Here is the written piece with 8 paragraphs, each with approximately 80 words as requested. There is a quiet moment in life when everything feels slower. Mornings are no longer urgent, and the days stretch out like a wet cloth in the sun. It's in that pause that many ask, am I still needed? The scene is simple. A lonely cup of coffee, an open window, and time dripping away. But behind the silence, something pulses, the desire to remain useful, for existence to be more than survival, to still be a presence that transforms. What few realize is that the body may slow down, but purpose never has to retire. Contributing isn't about doing big things. It's about offering presence, listening patiently, advising tenderly, inspiring by example. Functional longevity begins when we understand we still have something to give, even if it's a smile, a memory, a kind word. True vitality doesn't depend on muscle strength, but on the strength of meaning. And to awaken that purpose, a small ritual can make the difference. When you wake up, before even getting out of bed, ask yourself, who can I be useful to today? That simple question changes the tone of the day. It brings direction, meaning. It connects your energy to the outside world, even if you don't leave home. Sometimes the answer will be a phone call. Other times, a note left at a neighbour's door. And often it will be just being present with attention, as if your existence were a flame that still warms, even without burning intensely. Like a winter sun, discreet, but essential. This is the subtle contribution to Hinohara practiced until his last days. He didn't rush, but he kept serving. He didn't lead crowds, but he touched hearts. Every conversation was a seed planted, every gesture a silent legacy. This is the true nourishment of time, living with intention, not just duration. I remember an elderly lady in rural Japan, over 90 years old, who sewed little fabric dolls every day, not to sell, but to leave on park benches where children passed by. When asked why, she answered, "It's just to remind someone they can still feel joy." That small action contained the secret of full health. She didn't expect gratitude. She just kept her heart in motion. And that alone was already medicine. Because life doesn't fall ill just from lack of food, but from lack of function. When we believe we're no longer needed, the body listens, the soul cools, and the mind loses its shine. Continuing to contribute, even in simple ways, is an antidote to invisibility. It's a way of telling yourself, I still belong. And that's worth more than any medicine or miracle cure. But there's one detail that changes everything. Many times we wait for a grand stage to contribute. Recognition, an invitation. But functional longevity begins exactly when we stop waiting and start acting. A healthy lifestyle, for those who seek more than just time, begins with the intimate decision to remain present, to not retreat before your time, to not go silent just because the world moves faster. And if today you feel like you've already done enough, that your time has passed, try this small gesture. Write on a sheet of paper the names of 3 people who could benefit from your presence. Call one. Write to another. Think fondly of the third, because in the end, the secret to real vitality is continuing to be a light, even if now it shines more gently. Keep moving. An active body sustains a clear mind. There's a silence in the body that doesn't come from rest, but from stillness that lasts too long. Maybe you've felt it. The ache that lingers after hours in the same chair, the stiffness that greets you each morning, whispering that movement is becoming optional. But what if it's not? What if your clarity, your mood, even your memory depends not on how much you think, but on how often you move? The truth is, vitality doesn't vanish with age. It slows with inactivity. And the mind, though sharp, can fog when the body forgets how to flow. Movement is not about performance, it's about presence. It's how you tell your cells, I'm still here, I still care. Even small movements, stretching your arms upon waking, walking slowly through your garden, circling your ankles before bed, signal life. And life, when invited daily, responds with lucidity, balance and calm. Start with a simple ritual. After brushing your teeth, raise your arms to the sky and breathe deeply 3 times. Let your spine elongate. Feel the stretch from your toes to your fingertips. It's not exercise, it's remembrance. You are remembering your body. You are calling it back into rhythm. This act, so brief, so gentle, resets your nervous system. It says, I am not done. I still move. I still matter. Imagine your joints like rivers. When still for too long, they become muddy, sluggish. But when stirred, gently, consistently, they sparkle again. That's what Dr. Hinohara practiced daily. Not intense workouts, but purposeful motion. He climbed stairs well into his 90s, not to prove strength, but to maintain flow. His body didn't carry his mind, his movement cleared his mind. This is what true longevity feels like, not merely lasting, but flowing. I once knew a man who walked every day to the same tree near his home. Not far, not fast, but always with reverence. He'd touch the bark, look at the sky, breathe deeply. When asked why, he said, the walk brings me back to myself. That walk was his meditation, his medicine. He lived with clarity well into his late 90s, because he never stopped walking toward himself. And what if we told ourselves, I don't need to move perfectly, I just need to move daily? The mistake many make is believing motion must be grand to be good. But the greatest shift comes in the smallest steps. Rotate your wrists while waiting for the kettle to boil. Stand up and sway gently to your favourite music. Let the body remember what it means to be trusted again. But the detail most people miss is this. Sedentarism isn't neutral. It steals slowly. It takes away your voice, your agility, your alertness. Sitting becomes sinking, and the mind, so eager to participate in life, begins to mirror the stillness of the body. That's why we move. Not to delay aging, but to invite awareness, to preserve the connection between body and soul. So today, try something different. Before reaching for your phone, reach for your toes. Step outside barefoot, even for a moment. Let your legs feel the earth, because every step is a whisper to your future self. I'm still here, and I choose to keep walking toward vitality, toward clarity, toward life. Eat with intention. Nutrition is a strategy for long life. It often starts quietly, digestive discomfort after meals, a foggy mind in the afternoon, or an unexplained drop in energy. Many accept these signs as normal, but what if they're not? What if the food you choose each day is either nourishing your longevity or quietly eroding it? Imagine each bite not just as fuel, but as a message. A whisper to your body saying, I care about how you feel. Not just today, but for years to come. What few realize is that food is not just chemistry, it's communication. Every meal teaches your cells how to repair, how to defend, how to age. And Dr. Hinohara understood this deeply. He didn't follow trends or restrictive diets. He practiced intention, simplicity, consistency, meals filled with seasonal vegetables, small portions, and mindful preparation. Because longevity isn't built by extremes, but by quiet devotion to what your body actually needs. Begin with a gentle practice. Before each meal, pause. Look at your plate. Ask yourself, is this food helping me feel light, calm, and clear? This moment of presence reconnects you to the purpose of eating, not for distraction, not for impulse, but for care. This pause can become a ritual, a doorway into deeper awareness, a way of remembering that eating is not an escape, but a reunion with your own vitality. Think of your digestive system like a wise garden. It thrives on rhythm, not chaos, on warm, balanced nourishment, not ultra-processed confusion. When you give your body what is real, vegetables, grains, seeds, roots, it blooms, energy returns, sleep deepens, inflammation retreats. But when we rush, skip meals, or snack out of boredom, that garden becomes wild, overrun. Your body cannot find peace in food that brings more noise than harmony. I once met a woman in her 80s who started every day with warm water, lemon, and a bowl of lightly cooked greens. Not trendy, not scientific, but deeply wise. She said it woke up her organs. And indeed, her skin glowed. Her memory was sharp. Her body moved like someone 20 years younger. Because she understood, digestion is sacred. And what you digest well becomes your strength, your hind. Still, there's a common habit that steals energy quietly, eating while distracted. The television on, the phone in hand, the mind elsewhere. It seems harmless, but it tells the body, this meal doesn't matter. And the body listens. Nutrients aren't absorbed as well. Hunger cues get blurred. And instead of satisfaction, we're left with bloating, guilt, or more cravings. Eating becomes noise, not nourishment. But that leads us to something even deeper. When we eat with intention, we reconnect with gratitude. We slow down, we savour. We remember that food once grew from the soil, was touched by hands, and now lives to sustain us. This isn't romanticism, it's grounding. A style of life that says, I respect my body enough to feed it well, I honour my time enough to be present with my meals. So today, as you prepare your next meal, try this. Sit in silence for 1 minute before eating. Breathe, smell, observe. And then, begin slowly, with reverence. Because real nourishment isn't just about the ingredients, it's about the intention you infuse in every bite. And that intention is what creates true health, lasting energy, and a body that wants to stay alive with joy for many more years. Start the day with meaning. Purpose is the fuel of longevity. There's a moment in the early morning, before the noise, before the roles we wear take shape, when everything is still. In that pause, a question often rises softly. Why am I waking up? For many, the answer has become routine, blurred by time. But for those who live long, deeply, and intentionally, the answer is always clear. Purpose. A quiet force stronger than any vitamin. A reason to rise, not just from the bed, but from within. Most people think longevity is found in what you eat or how much you move. But Dr. Hinohara showed us something more profound. It begins with why you get up at all. Purpose is not a grand mission. It's the quiet joy of being needed, of offering something meaningful to the world, no matter how small. It's that inner spark that says, there's still something in me the world needs to feel. Try this ritual tomorrow. Before your feet touch the floor, close your eyes and ask yourself, what do I want to nurture today? It might be patience, kindness, creativity. It might be your garden, a relationship, a promise to yourself. This small question anchors the day in intention. It shifts your focus from what do I have to do to what do I choose to give? That's the difference between routine and meaning. Purpose doesn't require a job title or applause. It might live in your hands as you fold laundry with care, in your voice as you call an old friend, in your breath as you sit quietly, holding space for yourself. The body listens to these choices. It hears them not as tasks, but as love. And love, especially the kind given freely, has a way of preserving what time alone cannot. I once met a man in his late 90s who woke up every day to write a letter to his granddaughter. Not out of obligation, but because he wanted her to know his thoughts, even when he was gone. He said, "It keeps me alive to know I'm still part of her world." That letter, written daily, was his medicine, his meaning, his way of saying off, I still belong to life. But the detail most overlook is this. When we stop seeking meaning, the body starts to retreat. Apathy sets in, not just emotionally, but physically. Muscles lose tone, immunity softens, sleep fragments. Because when the soul doesn't feel needed, the body no longer feels urgent. And that's the hidden danger. Not illness, but disconnection. The kind that dims even the healthiest heart. That's why the most powerful act of healing may be simply to choose again. To redefine your mornings not as countdowns to aging, but as invitations to contribute. To listen to the whisper of life asking, will you join me today? And to answer with movement, with presence, with willingness. Not because you have to, but because something in you still wants to dance. So tomorrow, light a candle as the sun rises. Sit beside it. Place your hand on your chest and whisper, I have something to give. Feel that warmth. Let it spread. Let it remind you that each new day is not just time passing, it's a gift returning. And your purpose, however small it seems, is the reason it keeps coming back. Cultivate emotional lightness. A good mood is also medicine. It often begins with something small, a sigh that lingers, a conversation that weighs more than it should, a cloud in the chest that no one else sees. Emotional heaviness doesn't always shout. Sometimes it sits silently behind the eyes. But what if that weight, carried daily, shapes not only your thoughts, but your health? What if releasing it gently, without drama, without denial, is the very act that preserves your longevity? What few understand is that emotional tension doesn't stay in the mind. It settles in the body, in the gut, the jaw, the shoulders. Over time it becomes inflammation, fatigue, even illness. And yet the path to healing isn't to pretend all is well, but to create space, to let emotion move. Dr. Hinohara believed in laughter, in joy, not as escape, but as a form of oxygen, a necessity for those who wish to live long and live well. Try this gentle practice. Each evening, sit in silence and name one thing that made you smile. A memory, a gesture, a bird outside the window. Speak it softly, feel the lightness it brings. This ritual, done daily, slowly shifts your emotional center. It reminds your nervous system, not everything is heavy. There is still softness, still beauty, still reasons to laugh without needing permission. Think of your emotions as guests. If you never let them come in and sit, they'll find their own way, through your body, your sleep, your habits. But when you welcome them gently, even the painful ones lose their sharpness. This is what emotional hygiene looks like. Not control, not perfection, but flow. The kind that allows you to process, not suppress, to feel, and then release. I once knew a woman who began every morning with music, not to dance, but to smile. If I don't remind my body how joy feels, she said, it forgets. That daily habit kept her memory sharp, her heart strong, her presence radiant. She didn't deny pain, she just didn't let it make her home. That's emotional lightness, not ignoring the dark, but choosing to turn on a small lamp. But here's the silent mistake many make. They confuse seriousness with maturity. They believe aging means accepting the weight of everything. But this heaviness isn't wisdom, it's erosion. You don't need to carry every story, every hurt, every expectation. Letting go is not rejection, it's renewal. It's saying, I no longer need to hold what doesn't hold me. Oh, that's not selfishness, that's self-respect. And what if instead of repeating old hurts, you repeated small joys? A warm cup of tea, a kind word, the softness of your pillow at night. These aren't trivial, they're anchors. They tether you to the present. They remind the body, we are safe, we are here, we can rest now. That is medicine no pharmacy offers, but your awareness can. So tonight, before you close your eyes, place your hand over your heart and ask, what do I no longer need to carry? Then exhale, gently, as if blowing out a candle. Let the day release you, because your emotional lightness is not a luxury. It's your longevity, your health, your peace, and perhaps your triumphs, your truest form of freedom. For years we search outside, in foods, in routines, in exercises and doctors, trying to find the key to a long and meaningful life. But then, quietly, a realization arrives. It doesn't knock, it whispers. And when it does, everything shifts. The true secret isn't just what you do, it's what you believe about your time here. It's the meaning you assign to your mornings, the way you soften your breath when things don't go as planned, the way you treat your body, not with urgency but with reverence, not as a machine, but as a companion you wish to keep close, gently, for as long as life allows. And then, everything makes sense. The rituals weren't just healthy, they were sacred. The movement wasn't about strength, it was about presence. The food wasn't fuel, it was affection. The purpose wasn't something grand, it was the quiet devotion to being still useful. And your emotional lightness, that wasn't a luxury. That was your body asking you to finally rest from what no longer serves you. Because in the end, the body doesn't scream, it whispers. And if we don't listen to the subtle cues, the tired mornings, the unsettled digestion, the silent resentment, it responds. With insomnia, with fatigue, with illness. But if we listen with care, it answers with energy, with balance, with peace. And here lies the silent truth. Longevity is not about resisting death, it's about expanding life. Not in years, but in meaning. In how you feel when you open your eyes, in what you give to the world, even if the world has stopped asking. But are we ready to accept this? That maybe the life we seek isn't in changing everything, but in honouring what's already here? Maybe the most radical act of healing isn't doing more, but releasing the pressure to be more. Maybe the body was never broken, just unheard. And maybe the time to begin listening again is now.